to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team on our August 21st preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom, and tonight, Dan, we've got the Ballinger Bearcats.
Yeah, and obviously it's been a rough past couple of years for the Bearcats as Coach Ty Lang has tried to get that foundation built. But things look like they might be up on the up a little bit this year. They've got a good group back. 19 of their 30 Letterman return, including 9 starters on both sides of the football. They'll have call-ups from a JV team that won 5 games last year. So clearly, I think they're going to be expecting improvement, particularly with it being Coach Lang's third year. But they do have a lot of questions to answer. They had a rough winless season last year, so it's going to be obviously an opportunity to try to really take a step forward. But we'll see how that goes. But I do think they have some pieces back that will allow them to compete at a higher level than they did a year ago.
All right, before we jump into tonight's show, we want to remind you, YouTubers, please hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell so that you'll get notifications each and every time that Big Country Preps comes up with a new video. And also, we'd like to thank a couple of our sponsors, beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of KLAX 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, give Rob a shout at 254-559-2266. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. That is Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge.
All right, and with that, let's just go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about these Ballinger Bearcats a little bit. I mentioned at the outset of the show this evening that this is Coach Ty Lang's third year. Obviously, the first year didn't necessarily go record-wise the way they were hoping to. They're 1-19 combined the last 2 years. But that third year is often when teams do take that big step forward, and that's one of the big questions I have is, can they do that? They've got a good group back. They've got an established program. It sounds like they've been working really hard to kind of get up to the level they've been more accustomed to. Can they take that big step forward in Coach Lang's third year? I think there's going to be an opportunity for some wins, but they're going to have to do it on the field, obviously. So we'll see if they can do that. But I do think that this year the expectations are going to be higher. The question is going to be, can they match those?
My key question for Ballinger this year is like, what level of understanding do they have, the players have, of how young they were last year, young and thin, and if they have a full understanding of that they're going to be bigger and better this year, then they have a legitimate chance to take a step forward this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. But they have to go in understanding, hey, we took our lumps last year, not because we're not good, but because we were very young. Because when you're young, your confidence might be a little bit fragile. And they took their lumps last year, big time. They just have to understand we're all back, we're all bigger, we're more mature, we're going to get better. And I think that's going to be a key for them this year.
And my third question for them kind of dovetails off that, and it talks a little bit about those personnel guys who got some experience last year. Obviously, took their lumps and didn't necessarily go well, but just can those guys, use the experience they gained last year to put a better product on the field? One of the positions I think will be interesting. It's going to be an interesting battle. Is at that quarterback position where both Cade Strube and Kyson Weather got time last year and both showed some promise. I think you'll probably see both those guys get an opportunity to lead the team at different times. But the big question for me is will those guys and the experience they gained last year, because I've said this many times over the years that we've done this, is I'm not sure there's a bigger predictor of success in high school or college football than experience. I think when you've got guys coming back who have played, varsity games in this case, I think it really does make a difference. And I think they have the opportunity to do that this year. The question will be, Ballinger's gonna have some questions on, with team speed, with some depth things, but they do have a lot of returners back. They've got some JV kids who are coming up from a team that was competitive that will expect to win games. I think that's gonna be a plus. So we'll just see. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how these guys grow. I think that's one of the things that's fun about high school football is to watch the growth of teams. And I think this is a good team that's gonna have a chance. Fans are gonna have an opportunity to see the growth that these guys have made over the offseason.
The late, great NFL coach George Allen would often say there is no substitute for experience. And George never had a losing season, not one. losing season in his career. And he was a guy that would trade away draft picks for older players because he knew the value of experience. And you can't substitute it. There's no
And
substitution for it.
and
All right. And with that, we're going to take a quick look at the schedule for Ballinger. We'll start in the non-district portion. I think it's important to mention also because I mean the lumps that Ballinger took last year was with a schedule that was borderline ridiculous. It was so tough for a team of that age group. It was nearly impossible. But this year it's a more manageable schedule, and there are opportunities to gain some confidence and a few wins. So let's take a quick look at it. Let's take a look at the non-district portion first. They'll open the schedule on August the 30th at Merkel. They'll play host to Cristobal on September the 6th. They'll play at San Angelo TLCA on September the 13th. They'll host Brady on September 20th. They'll play Stanton at home on September 27th, and then an open date on October 4th before jumping into district.
Yeah, and I think that's a good non-district schedule for them that leads them into their first district schedule at the Class 2A Division I level. This is a team that have been playing Class 3A D2 the past several years, so that'll be a bonus for them as well. They open their district schedule October 11th at Bangs before hosting Hamilton the following week. Then they go to De Leon on October 25th before hosting Coleman on November 1st. They then wrap up their district schedule at Hico on October 8th. So I think this is a good schedule for them. I think the move down to 2A D1 is going to be a good one for them. And I think you're right about that non-district schedule. There's some opportunities to be challenged while at the same time some opportunities to win games. And I think that's going to be a big thing is just to get some confidence through wins.
That the biggest thing is you go into some games where you've got a shot, and there were games last year. Let's face it, they were so young last year against last year's schedule. They were games that they went into with really very little shot at
Mhm.
all of winning, barring a miracle. This year's a different story.
Yeah.
Game of the year. We like to take a look at the game of the year for each team that we're looking at, and for Ballinger, I've got one in mind. I think is probably going to be not necessarily make or break, but I think it's going to be quite important for their playoff chances. What do you think?
I'm
Let's see
going
if you find the same one.
to hedge my bets here and actually go games of the year. I think it's those first two district games at Bangs, at home against Hamilton. I think those are two games right off the bat where you've got a chance to really. I don't think those are unwinnable games by any stretch. Those are games where you have an opportunity to set a good tone for district play with games that I think you should probably be competitive in. So I would put both of those as the games of the year for me because if you can win one or both of those, you're talking about potentially having a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. I would take the game at Bangs, right leading off right off the bat. That's a game that I think is going to be winnable for Ballinger. It's a game that's going to be close and winnable. It's on the road. If they can win that, then you're looking at one more win and you're in.
Mhm.
Uh, the second game against Hamilton, I think that's also a very important ball game. I agree with you somewhat there. That's their home opener. If they can win that, they're in good shape going down the stretch. Assuming they beat Bangs, but you want to win your home opener because two of the last three games are going to be on the road against some pretty sizable competition.
Yeah, especially with the improvement that Heiko's made lately, the last couple of years. That's going to be a tough game. And then De Leon and Coleman have obviously been solid playoff teams as well. So, yeah, I think right off the bat, you've got two big ones to start district with, but it's going to be interesting. I think I'm just eager to see how much improvement this Ballinger team has made. I expect them to take a fairly sizable step forward, and I'm excited to see if they can.
All right, with that, it's about time to close the books on this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Ballinger Bearcats. But before we do that, we want to remind you August 21st is the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day we release our preseason football preview with a preview for every team that we cover. We'll also have a player feature for every team that we cover. We'll have stats, we'll have standings, we'll have videos, we'll have photos. You name it, we'll have it. It is the most comprehensive look at Big Country football and the surrounding area of the Big Country that you're going to find in any media source. Nobody's going to have more.
Yeah, and this year we'll have even more than we have in the past as we are adding 5 new schools to the coverage area. We are adding Mineral Wells, Glen Rose, Graham, Toller, and Miles to the mix. So our base 40 11-man schools has grown to 45, and we're super excited about adding those. And we hope you are excited to follow those through our coverage. In the meantime, we appreciate you joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series and hope you will come back tomorrow when we talk about those Bangs Dragons here at BigCountryPreps.com.